support background checks?
I would have voted against the bill in its present form. I don't know how closely you all followed this debate. Tom Coburn, I think, had a very reasonable amendment up there. His concern was on a national registry of guns, and I share that concern. I think that what Lindsay had proposed, there was another proposal that Lindsay actually offered with regard to the so-called Alice Boland situation. As you may remember, Alice was right here in Charleston. She had threatened the President of the United States and then declared insanity as her reason for getting off of any penalty for her declarations against the President of the United States. And what Lindsay, I think, very reasonably proposed was to say, look, if you're either involuntarily institutionalized based on mental health standing, or if you declare insanity, either one of those would prohibit you from getting being able to buy a gun. I think that that's reasonable. But beyond that, I'm for going very, very slowly. I think that any right that's ensured via the Constitution is a right that should not be tread on. And we need to be very, very careful, particularly given the level of enforcement that exists right now. Last year, there were over 80,000 failed background checks, less than 40 of which were prosecuted. Now think about that. That many folks fail background checks, but that many folks are actually prosecuted. It says to me, before we go adding new laws in the books, let's prosecute existing laws in present form.
Would you support appropriations for our port, and did you support appropriations for our area when you were in Congress? Why or why not?
Yeah, this was a point of some level of contention last night, and let me just disagree with Elizabeth on this one, because I think the logic is more than twisted. And let me tell you why. I have historically, A, been a budget hawk, but B, been very big on process. As I said to somebody, or somebody said to me, I've had said both ways. I've said it, and other folks have said it to me, and that is, Mark, you were against earmarks before it's cool to be against earmarks. And if you look at how I approached much of the budgeting back in my time in Congress, I said, let's look at this idea of how we fund different crucial investments, whether in this part of the world or other parts of the world at large. And so, from a procedural standpoint, I voted against some omnibus bills because as the bills go higher up in form, more and more junk gets added to them. So with regard to, there was she criticized me last night right here about a stand I'd taken with regard to the reports. But I stand by that stand because I supported it at the committee level in terms of dredging monies here in Charleston, pushed for it at the committee level, voted for the transportation bill when it went through, but then when it got wrapped up to the omnibus bill, I voted against the omnibus bill. And therefore they'll say, well, you were against port dredging. Not at all the case. I've made 3 different bites at the apple in support of port dredging, but if there's a bunch of junk in an omnibus bill, I'm going to vote against an omnibus bill. Now, by that logic, think about this. Last night Elizabeth said right here, I am against President Obama's budget. You know the problem with that? Guess what's in President Obama's budget? Port dredging. The study with the Corps of Engineers. So I just say it's twisted logic. I would no more say that she's against port dredging based on her being against President Obama's bill, then I think you could say I'm against port dredging based on supporting it at the committee level, supporting it at the transportation committee level, and then being against an omnibus bill. As to pushing for it, I pushed real hard for it. And I think I'd bring some merit badges